Hey, good morning, church. Good to see you all this morning. Really, really glad that you are here with us. And I just want to say welcome. My name is Brett, and I serve as one of the pastors here. And I know a lot of you are like, yeah, we know that part, but there's some of you that don't. And so it bears repeating. So whatever your story is, if you've been here for decades, or maybe this is your first time, or anywhere in between, we're really glad that you're here with us. We are striving as a church to make God's truth relevant. We believe that God is incredibly dynamic and anything but boring. Therefore, his church should not be boring. And so we infuse creativity. We infuse excellence. We infuse humor. We try to do things that are normal, that are engaging, that are relevant, so that people understand, all of us understand more fully that God is in fact relevant. It's not just an intellectual pursuit. It is not an interesting hobby. It is not just a moral guidance, but an organic, ongoing journey, a relationship that is worthy of our efforts. And so we're really glad that you are here and presumably on that journey as well. So we are talking today about anger management. We're looking at the book of Proverbs that was written by Solomon, who prayed in 1 Kings chapter 3 for God to give him a discerning spirit. Now, he had the benefit of the law that told him what was right and wrong. But as we all know, there are lots of things in life that we need wisdom for. It's not a clear answer. There's not a definitive yes or no or right or wrong. That we need wisdom that is the art of living, not the science of living. We need wisdom to help us understand relationships and dynamics and to read a room and to understand how life works. We need wisdom to understand how we work. Sadly, most of us just function. We get up and we feed ourselves and we go through our day and we are more or less robotic and respond to the things that happen without asking a deeper question of why. Why did I feel that way? Why did I respond that way? Why did I react in that way? And so today we're going to look at this issue of anger, because every one of you is angry. You're like, no, I'm not. Just saying that made you a little angry, didn't it? See, I think we all are angry. And we live in a world in which if you're not angry, you are not aware of what is going on. There's lots to be angry about, big global things. Nepal was angry. They didn't have a government all last week, and now they have a woman for the first time ever, which is great. But they were certainly angry on a governmental level, all sorts of protests and uprisings. The U.S. is angry. I don't know if you've noticed. Assassinations happening, murders on trains, enrage, right? Everywhere you look, you cannot protect yourself from outrage, from anger. And some of these are very justified reactions that we have. You should feel angry about these things. But on a more personal level, there are things that you get angry about that maybe you shouldn't, or should you? It's not so much whether you are angry, but how you deal with your anger, how you express your anger. And many of us, I dare say, don't do it well. If you come from a more westernized background, you may have been told that it is good to express your anger. Parenting books 20, 30 years ago would say things like, let the toddler kick the chair. He's expressing his anger. The problem is that toddler has now grown up and he's still kicking chairs and sometimes kicking other things. Expressing it is not always good. If you come from a more Eastern background, you may have been told, or not told, but modeled, don't express your anger. Suppress it. Put it down. You shouldn't feel that way. The Bible, in its beautiful wisdom, gives a better answer. It's not express it, and it's not suppress it. It is to focus on the reality of what is going on within you, to analyze it and come up with a better and a third approach that is not Eastern or Western, as simplistic as those labels may be, but rather the wisdom that Solomon needed. And so I dare say the wisdom that you and I need as well. So, angry people, let's dig in. Anger is dangerous, right? It's a dangerous thing because it is so powerful. If you've been on the receiving end of anger, you've realized how it changes your heart rate. It changes so much about the physicality within you. More and more research is now saying that anger is above all the emotions, more than anxiety, more than sorrow, is responsible for physical ailments in our body. Over 51 diseases listed in this paper that talk about how it can destroy our health. We know there's a connection between our emotions and our physicality. A heart at peace gives life to the body, but envy rots the bones. Anger, an emotion that is incredibly powerful. Here, we're told in this study from the Journal of Medicine and Life, over 51 different diseases that they track back to anger. From the obvious things like headaches from coronary disease, but also things like rage that causes car accidents that often brings about death or injury, all because of anger. Anger is incredibly powerful. For good or for bad, it produces an impact for sure. It can destroy our physical health. We also know it can destroy relationships, right? A hot-tempered person stirs up conflict, but the one who is patient calms a quarrel. It says the one who is patient, one who is slow, the one who can exhale, the one who can observe. It is not the lack of anger, but the one who can tap it down and manage it in a way that both honors God and people in the process. Otherwise, irrevocable damage can be done in relationships. Generational damage can be done in relationships. Anger also diminishes wisdom. Whoever is patient has great understanding, but one who is quick-tempered displays folly. You've had this feeling, I'm guessing, where you've looked back on something that you did or you said, and you're like, oh, it's kind of embarrassing. Can't believe I said that. And then you have to defend it. Well, I wouldn't have said it if you hadn't have, right? You have to put the blame. You just keep adding to it. It can make you look really stupid. The morning after, the week after, the moment after you hit send, it displays folly. It makes wisdom go out the door. You can allow your anger to control your emotions and your keyboard in ways that will be very regrettable. It destroys wisdom. It also does this. It diminishes your will, your capacity to make good decisions. Anger, this intoxicating fury, can come in and destroy your capacity to actually make good decisions. A hot-tempered person must pay the penalty. Rescue them, and you will have to do it again. See, anger, unlike any other emotion, can be addictive, can be cyclical. You're mad, and somebody says, why are you so mad? And you say, I'm not mad. And then you're mad that they're asking you why you're mad. And so you get more mad, but you have to cover it and disguise it. And then you have to blame shift and go, well, if you hadn't have, then I wouldn't have, and blah, blah, blah. And anger fuels anger, which fuels anger. And you lose this level-headed capacity to even make good decisions. Not only do you look a fool, you lose wisdom, but you lose the will, the ability to make good decisions. We want to diagnose anger a little bit, find out what is the essence of it, what is at the core of it. I'm struck as we read scripture that what we see in both the Old Testament and in New Testament is that God the Father is angry and Jesus Christ also expresses anger. But we have to understand it in its capacity. When God, the Father, speaks with Moses, it says, and he passed in front of Moses, proclaiming, the Lord, the compassionate and gracious God, slow to anger, abounding in love and faithfulness. Slow to anger. Jesus in John chapter 2 will do that famous turning of the tables, which it appears to be this like irrational, erratic behavior. But as we dig deeper, we see that we're told he actually wove together a cord that he would use to disrupt the crowd. It was thought out, premeditated. He didn't lose it. He didn't fly off the handle. Jesus, in his anger, was controlled and precise. We're also told that Jesus is angry at the religious leaders, and the Greek words that are used for his anger are often quite stern, quite vivid. He spewed anger. So it is possible, Jesus, perfect, sinless, it is possible to be angry and not sin. In fact, in essence, anger is a good thing. If it is a trait of God, and you and I are being made more like God, godly, in this transformation of our souls, then we can expect that we would have some anger that expressed in a way that is of God, right? But what we see is that God is slow to anger. He's not explosive in anger. It's not that there is no anger, but he's slow to become angry. It seems to be tied to a pacing, to the rhythm of anger, the point that anger is expressed, that there is presumably the feeling of anger before it is expressed, and that there is a hesitation, a longing for it to dissipate before God expresses it. That we are slow to anger. Better a patient person than a warrior. One with self-control than one who takes a city. That this pacing of our anger, being slow to anger, having self-control and patience is a necessary condition. I'm struck by what Paul says in Ephesians very directly, be angry and do not sin. And we talked about how this is a command. Be angry. Some of you are like, that's one biblical directive I can do. Easy. I'm so biblical. And do not sin. Right up to that edge of sin, being angry puts you on this precipice of stepping over into sin. And yet you are called, demanded, expected even, to express some way anger that is still honoring of God. And yet we have distorted views, don't we, of what that looks like, of how it is that we can be angry and not sin. Most of us wrongly conclude that it means just to tap it down, to suppress it, to don't express it at all. Are you angry? I am not angry. I'm not. Then why are you acting that way? What way? What are you talking about? I am not angry. Body language screaming, anger! Be angry and do not sin. I love this quote. He that is angry without cause sins. Yeah, we would agree. But this, he that is not angry with cause sins. For unreasonable patience is the hotbed of many vices. Isn't that good? My guess is most of us fall here. not angry, but with cause. Like there's things you should be enraged about, things that you should care about, things that should really get under your skin, that are holy things, righteous things, things that also bug God. And yet you're like, nah, but you're angry without cause, things that really don't matter, that for some reason trip you up, for some reason trigger you from within. See, it is a sin to never get angry. Oh man, I worked so hard to control my anger, to not be angry. I thought that was sin. Also sin. So where is this fine line? Where is this Venn diagram overlap of being aware of my emotions, caring about life, seeing injustice, being angry, but not sinning? How is that even possible? See, in its purest form, we need to understand that anger is love. In its purest form, it's love in motion toward a threat to a love. Like to be anger in its purest form, the things that anger God is when something is threatened. It's when God, slow to anger, is angry over our violation of this covenant that he's given his son for. This is wrong, something that he loves. He loves you and me. And when we make a mockery of this, a massive substitutionary death of Jesus, when we take it for granted, when we don't give it credence, when we violate the value of that great love expressed, God becomes angry. It's not because he hates you. It's because you're acting like a fool. And he doesn't want you to miss out on this beautiful thing. And so anger in its purest form is actually love. It's toward anything that threatens a love. As many of you know, I have 4 kids, 2 white, 2 Chinese, keeping it all balanced, 2 girls, 2 boys. So I've got white girl, white boy, Chinese girl, Chinese boy. So I can easily say, you're my favorite Chinese son. You're my favorite white daughter. You know, it works however you want to do it. And I can remember Zane, my youngest son, when he was maybe 6 or so. We were at the swimming pool, and I obviously do not look like I am his father. And so there were some other older kids that looked around and made the conclusion, wrongly, that, oh, his mom or dad isn't around, and they bullied him, right? And I almost committed murder of a 7-year-old. I was ready to go to prison, just take those little bully kids and just drown them or kill them or whatever. Like they deserved it. I just happened to be there as his dad, right? Murder, wrong, but anger, right. I should be angry. It's something that threatened a love. Someone I love dearly was wrongly threatened, right? That's what anger is in its purest form. Now, it looks different, right? In many different cases. We think of anger and we think of like a shaking fist and expletives and all sorts of visible rage. And certainly that is one of the faces of anger. I mean, we see it, we might call it shotgun anger, explosive, dynamic, visible, felt even, visible and seen. Cain, we're told, was very angry. So he rose up against his brother Abel and killed him. Anger, murder, easy to see, not good. Explosive shotgun anger, but there's other kinds as well. Silent but deadly anger. We see this in Jeremiah. It says, I sat by myself because you were there and you filled me with anger at the evil around me. Reclusive. I'm going to pull away. A silent but deadly. I'm not going to say anything, but I will hold my rage. I will exact revenge. I will retreat and methodically make a plan. Or slow burn anger. The story of the older brother. In Luke chapter 15, we see the prodigal story, right? Many of you are familiar with it. The prodigal son, as we're told. There's two sons, an older brother and a younger brother. The younger one is the one who says, Dad, can I have my inheritance now? Communicating, I prefer you dead over alive. And he takes it and he goes and he squanders it, and his sin is evident and on display. And he grovels and comes back and says, can I just have a job, Dad? And the dad celebrates. What was once lost has been found, and throws a party. An older brother is bitter. He'd been there all along, faithful, dutiful, and filled with smug self-righteousness. And we're told he was angry and he refused to go into the party. His father came out and entreated him. Justified in his own mind, filled with self-righteousness, comparative of what he had done versus younger brother, this kind of slow burn anger is evident in so many of us. Or this one, how about sneaky anger? We see it in the Pharisees. They were filled with fury. And so they discussed with one another what they might do to Jesus. Turn on any reality TV show and you see this. Snide, persnickety, vindictive, filled with bakwa, good gossip. Did you hear what she did? Can you believe? Anger. Sneaky anger. It has lots of forms. I'm not sure which is your favorite, which you embrace most frequently, but you have one, or maybe it's a different one than those four. But anger takes on a form within you. You know, for the longest time, I'm not a loud, explosive, angry kind of guy. I don't generally struggle with that kind of rage, but I have anger. And I can remember when Shannon says, "You're angry." And I said, "No, I'm not." "Yes, you are." "No, I'm not." And see, there was a certain level of control. If I can maintain a demeanor that is even keeled, it is a control which is actually exerting anger, isn't it? It is saying, "No, I'm not going to give you the benefit of knowing that I'm angry over something. I am not angry. I am enraged," but underneath the surface. To come to terms with the fact that, anger is something that all of us have. If you don't, you're not aware of it. Ask people around you. They could probably help you figure it out. So if anger in effect is good, and it takes on different looks, right? How does it get off the rails? How is it that you and I don't naturally express anger like God does, slow to anger? How does it go wrong? Back to Proverbs, it says, "Do not testify against your neighbor without cause. Would you use your lips to mislead? Do not say, 'I'll do to them as they have done to me. I'll pay them back for what they did.'" Now, first, verse 29, do not say, who is he talking to? Himself. So do not say in your own mind, do not have this conversation within, "I will pay them back as they have done to me." So they have done something wrong, right? He says, don't plan your revenge. Don't plot out your payback. Don't have that conversation. See, it's not a matter of whether you are justified in being angry. They did something wrong. The issue is how you respond to the anger, how you respond to someone else. He says, don't do that without cause. You may think you have a justifiable reason. Don't retaliate. Don't respond that way. Don't go head to head. Don't return evil for evil, but offer a blessing instead. See, it gets off the rails, and here is why. Augustine reminds us that the essence of sin is disordered loves. That you love things, but you love them too much. Is that you have disorder among your affections, that you've made things that are good to love, you've made them ultimate things to love, that unless you have that, then your life is destroyed. Of course, you are sad if you have a breakup in a relationship. But if you contemplate taking your life, if you're self-destructive as a result, it says your significance, your worth was tied up into this thing, that person that only God can fill. That good things cannot be ultimate things. We have disordered loves. And in the same way, we have disordered anger. We have anger, but we get things out of order. We have disordered causes of anger, right? So if you think about it, there's lots to be angry about. Let's take trafficking of children. Anybody for that? No one. We think it's wrong. It's an injustice that children should not be sold into any form of slavery at all, right? I mean, that should make us mad. But we have disordered causes. You know what really makes you mad? Is when somebody bumps up against you on the MTR. What's a worse crime? Yeah. But what do you react to? The MTR guy. You have a disordered cause. You have disordered proportion of response. What is elicited in you over the smallest of things incites rage and vindication. Oh, I'm going to punch him back. I'm going to can't believe these people. You get blown out of proportion in your anger over small things when other things go unnoticed by you virtually. But perhaps most importantly, we get disordered in the way we deal with our anger. Let's take this example. If you've got a rebellious teenage, let's say daughter this time, shall we? Let's go with that one. So a daughter how old is she? She's 15, right? And she doesn't listen, she doesn't obey, she doesn't respect. How are you going to respond? You could meet anger with anger. You could punish, you could point, you could ground. You could say, you're never, give me your phone, you're taking it back. You could go there, many do. You could punish in silence. You could retreat. Fine, if you're going to be that way, no daughter of mine acts that way. Right? You could punish her with shame and pull away. Neither of those would be healthy ways to deal. See, what is going on in that mythical teenage rebellion is that you want to extract the idiocy out of that person, but not the person. There's some foolishness within, but you want to deal with that. You want to be angered over that, but not the person. And so that requires then a surgical strike to deal with the anger, to come in and be present with that person, but to not overlook the blemish in their character. Is to sit with them, to communicate you're valuable. I'm not disgusted. I'm not embarrassed. My love for you is permanent. I don't give it and take it away as a way to keep your behavior in check. I sit with you, but we need to talk about this. This behavior is unacceptable. You are not. Isn't that what God has done for us? See, when we had a chance, we murdered him. When we, as a race, had God come down in the form of Christ, and he was here, we allowed him to, without fault, be ridiculed, mocked, tortured, and killed. And yet God came near. In our rebelliousness and in our sin, in our fisted anger and rage toward him, God came near and said, I love you anyway. That is how we deal. But we get it all disordered. We get it all confused. We get personally offended. And so we go back just slashing and burning. That'll teach them. Or we feel threatened and afraid and we retreat and go, whatever, I'm going to punish you with my absence. See if that works. So how do we heal it? What do we do? First, we need to admit it. See to it that no one falls short of the grace of God and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. The encouragement here is that if you don't deal with your anger, that you will allow a seed of bitterness to be planted. And that it might be over a long period of time in which this bitterness takes root and it becomes so a part of you that you can't distinguish, you can't remember, you can't tether it to its original cause, but you embrace it over time and you become bitter. And you miss what he says, the grace of God. He says, don't allow the grace of God to be missed in your life. See, God's grace will meet you, but if you don't deal with anger, if you don't admit it, then a bitter root takes a place in your life. And you will then be an angry old man. Get off my lawn. You will be crotchety, and you will pass it down. And your children will describe you as angry or absent or bothered. See, you have to admit it. And then you have to analyze it. What's going on here? Do not say, I'll do to them as they have done to me. I'll pay them back for what they did. The point is, do not say that to yourself. But think about what is it that you are saying to yourself. When you're triggered, when you're enraged, what's going on? Why is it so important? Why does it hurt so much? A few weeks back, I had an afternoon meeting, I can't remember, let's say at 2:00, and I thought I had time. I'm gonna run to the bank. I had to go to the physical bank and see a teller, and so I thought, okay, I got time, I'm gonna do this. And I get to the bank and there's people in line. I've had this experience, right? And I'm looking at the people in line and I'm thinking about how long. I do the math. That's how anal I am. I'm like, okay, it's taken this long, this number of people, I'll be there, because unlike Disney, they don't have a gentle sign that says, from this point, you have 20 minutes of wait, And so you just snake your way through until you get to the front. And then I look up and there's only 2 tellers, 2 attendants working. There's 6 or 7 windows. I'm like, why are they not everybody come to the front, we've got a crowd, but they don't. And so I'm a little bothered by that. And I'm just making my way and, I'm getting up there, make my way to the very front. Finally, I get to the one of 2 tellers that is open. And she's behind glass because evidently this is prison. I don't know what they expect, that I'm going to take out a gun because we have no guns here. So I'm like, why are you behind glass, And then they have that little bitty, that little microphone, that it's just horrible. And you have to use that because there's glass. And I'm like, okay. And then this teller, she also has a mask on. And I'm like, wait, COVID's over, but okay. So sorry you're not feeling well. But and then she speaks into this microphone, and what I hear is, and I'm like, I'm sorry, can you say that again? And I can even feel in my voice this kind of frustration. And, so I'm like, grab all my whatever and just shove it under that little thing, whoop-a-doo, and, and I'm thinking, what do you think? I'm gonna like sneeze through this little hole and just shoot all my germs on your face and every orifice? Like we're overprotecting here and I can't understand. And then I said, I'm sorry, I can't understand you because you have a mask on. And I thought I just thought it, but it actually came out of my mouth. It's like, yeah, that was out loud, wasn't it? And then I have this occupational burden of like, Brett, what if she says, Pastor Brett, is that you? Yeah, I live with this anxiety all the time. It's like, no, I'm Pastor Andrew at the Vine. That's my name. I would never. So she didn't recognize me, thankfully, and she said, wah, 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 wah. And I was able to kind of rein in that little low-grade rage and ask my question and get over the fact that I was so frustrated, right? Transaction done, and I go back and I'm late to my meeting. And later, as I'm looking at this, I'm thinking, okay, what's going on, Brett? What in the heck? No big deal. She's doing her job. She's just doing all she can. It's not her fault, right? And I realized two things. What's going on within me? One, I didn't make enough time. And I was frustrated that I showed up and I thought I've got enough time and I get there and I don't have enough time and they're not accommodating my schedule. Don't they all know I have a 2:00 meeting? And then when I get back to that meeting, I'm gonna have to say, I'm really sorry that I'm late. I didn't plan my schedule well. It's gonna look bad on me. So that was part of it. But the other thing was this. The reason I was at the bank is because I had lost my wallet. A few days earlier, I'd left my wallet sitting on a minibus in Quintong. And I realized it when I got off of the minibus. Why do you take your wallet and place it on the seat next to you? Maybe in your pocket would be good, Brett. But as the bus was pulling away, I was like, oh my gosh. And I literally thought about running. So I'm really mad at me because I've been irresponsible, because I left my wallet, because now it's been inconvenience. I was having to go to the bank when I didn't want to go to the bank because I had to go to the bank because I lost my bank card. I was mad at me. And I was worried about my image at the meeting. So it was all about me. And in that moment, in relatively mild ways, I took my anger out on an unsuspecting, slightly sick bank teller. We've got to analyze it. What's going on? Why'd you act that way? Why'd you feel that way? Why did you retreat like that? What is going on? Often these three questions will help. Am I hurt? Am I offended? Am I insulted? Am I hurt? Is that what's going on? Am I just frustrated? Are there other factors, my schedule, my time, my finances, my whatever? Are there other things contributing to this? Am I frustrated? Or am I afraid? 99% of the time, one of these questions will help you go, oh, that's it. I realize what's happening here. And it helps you diffuse the rage. It helps you own your anger. It helps you to be more like God, slow to anger. Instead of explosive with anger or no anger, to be slow to anger. And when you're committed to being slow, a lot of the things that you would have otherwise be angry about, they just go away because it's not worth being angry about it. But then we're called to transform it. It's not enough to admit it, to analyze it, But how do you actually transform it? How do you use that for something good? How do you become someone who's not just kind of tapping down their rage, but allowing anger in good and positive ways to be used by God? A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. How do you get to the point where you are a gentle answer? Not in a passive-aggressive way, not in a manipulative way, but you respond gently to life, to bank tellers, to frustration, to anxiety. How do we do that? Proverbs 25 is radical. You got to take this in. If your enemy is hungry, give him food to eat. If he's thirsty, give him water to drink. Now, this is next level. It is one thing to endure your enemy. It is another thing, and one thing to kind of reject an insult. It is one thing to kind of choose not to be close to those who wish you harm, to endure, to be long-suffering, to be forgiving. This is next level. This is saying, hey, bless them. Your enemy, care for them. What? I want to kill them. And you're telling me to feed them. Give them water? The context goes on to say it will be like putting coals on their head. This is so often misunderstood. People think it's like, oh, be nice to your enemy and watch him squirm. That your kindness will kill him. That'll really show him that you won't be provoked. You'll be kind instead. Ha, ha, ha. With a heart that is black. That's not what it means. See, the image is someone carrying a basket on their head, taking coals from one place back to their home. And you see them coming outside your second floor window and decide to contribute to their well-being and putting more coals in their basket. They don't know it, but you bless them. They get home and realize, how did I get this? You blessed anonymously. It's not some passive-aggressive, hey, you look great. No, it's a genuine thing. See, next level. Care for your enemy? Are you kidding me? I'm trying not to kill them. You want me to genuinely care for them. See, at the core of most of our anger is us. I love what Jeremiah reminds us. Should you then seek great things for yourself? Don't seek them. At the core of your anger generally is you. Your self-esteem, your value, your worth, your respect, what people think about you, say about you, your schedule, your money, your time, your relationship. It's you. You're wrapped up in it. And you love you so much that there are so many things that make you mad. See, it's not about a righteous anger that cares about injustice in the world and the things that grieve the heart of God, but it is you being self-protective. So if you can get rid of that, if you can confess that, then you've done a great work. And then to remember, when he was reviled, speaking of Jesus, he did not revile in return. When he suffered, he did not threaten, but continued entrusting himself to him who judges justly. See, so much of our anger is we want to exact judgment, right? I want someone else to be punished. I want someone else to feel uncomfortable. I feel pressure, anxiety, rage, or something, and I'm going to squeeze it out among those around me. It oozes all the time. And here we're told that Jesus, though wrongly treated, though he was reviled, he didn't retaliate. He didn't return it. a man who was perfectly angry. He's not wrongly just suppressing his anger, like, don't fight back. No, he had a better plan. He did not threaten, but he did something. He kept entrusting himself to the one who judges rightly. God, I don't have to retaliate. You do. I don't have to get even. You do. I don't have to be vindicated because you do that. I don't have to prove I'm important. I don't have to demand respect. I don't have to exact attention. God, you do that. It's all about identity. It's about going, okay, gosh, I am just trying to create my own little kingdom. God, I keep entrusting myself. If you can remember that phrase, keep entrusting yourself. We're told that Jesus continued to entrust himself. It implies that there's this ongoing struggle of like, I'm going to entrust myself to you. I will do it. I will let you get revenge. I will not engage. Again, this is not saying you can't be angry. It is saying you should be angry, but slowly. You should tap the brakes. You should not respond so quick. You should not hit send. You should wait a little before you type back that insult. You should let it simmer so you get some sobriety and that you can be angry in ways that honor God. As long as you do it this way, that you keep entrusting yourself to God. God, I'm going to be angry about this, but I'm not going to seek respect that only you can give me. I'm not going to demand that others do something for me. God, you've done so much already. See, when you get your identity right, and sometimes that takes some time, when you get it right, then the anger dissipates. And you can then see clearly what you should be angry about and what was just all about you. The poor bank lady did nothing wrong. In fact, she woke up and felt bad and put on a mask and went to work to do her job, to make some money, to care for her family, to keep our society going. And stupid little me with my issues, broiling, weaves through the snake of a line and takes it out on her. Damage, minimal, but it could have been worse. But what's going on in a heart like that? See, if you're aware of it, and God is gracious and he convicts, if we made aware of it, you can deal with what's going on. And you don't have to be the angry old man. You don't have to be the crotchety older woman. You can be gracious and kind and loving and forgiving. And you can keep entrusting yourself to him who judges rightly. Father, we're grateful. We thank you for your love for us. We thank you that you are slow to anger. We simply pray that we as well could be fully alive. We could feel all the things. We would not be afraid of anger in and of itself is not a sin, but that we would express it in ways that are right and honoring to you, that we too would be slow to anger. We pray in Jesus' name, amen.